Hey, how you doing? I want to talk about something today, and it's about the Sumerians, which are crazy. These are the people from Sumer that we call the Sumerians today. They're also seen as the first civilization that we know of. And there's a lot of firsts that actually come out of this civilization, and it blows my mind. So these guys, right, let me just get comfortable. So these guys came up with things that we're still using today, which blows my mind. They came up with a whole fact of working out angles. Now, this is like using the 360 degrees that we use today to work out angles. 22 degrees, 45 degrees, 90 degree angles. This all came from the fucking Sumerians. It blows my mind, right? And these, by the way, these guys predate Egypt. And they're seen to come out of, or not to come out of, but where their civilization really just started to pick up and really burst out of, was when they came down to around about southern Iraq. Okay, now, let me tell you, these guys, when I'm talking about like firsts and all this other shit, they came up with the whole fact of, they decided one day to just start writing down on clay. Now, the reason for that is because one of the kings back in the day said they had all this information, but the runners couldn't run all the way out to these people and remember all the information that they needed to give to them. It didn't matter what it was, if it was telling a commander what to do with his army, or telling the pottery maker on how to make a pot properly. They couldn't retain the information to give them all the information all at once. So what did they do? They decided to write it down, and they wrote it down on clay. It's crazy. These guys were the first people to come out with literature. Now, remember, around about 3200 BC is when everything started to arise with these guys. Now, 3000 BC is where things get pretty good. Pretty cool. So 3000 BC, they how do I put this? The characters of the alphabet went from 1500 characters down to 600 characters. You may be thinking, why? Well, why do they do that? They did that because they started to realize back then their characters, each letter of the alphabet or characters of the alphabet was based on an idea. So the writings back then on how we perceive writings in text today was different. So back there when they first had 1500 characters, every character was based on an idea. Now today, all of our letters are based on sounds and contents with those sounds. So when they went from 1500 characters down to 600, this is when they've had the thought to, oh, maybe I should make these characters mean a sound, so they could bring them together to make words, to make it even more complex, and also a little bit more simpler. I don't think I'd be able to memorize 1500 characters. Oh, I mean, I don't know. I'm not back then, so I'm not too sure. But the whole big thing about these guys is that we're still using this technology today. And people don't talk about them like how they should be talking about them. These guys pioneered the civilizations that we're living in today. It's crazy. It's crazy. Their first city was Ereru. And it's crazy about this city because their city was also said to be built in 7 days. So it reminds you of Genesis for some weird reason. Now, with these guys, this dates back all the way down to 5400 BC. That's a long time ago. Remember, these guys were writing. These guys were writing around about 900 years before the pyramids were built. I'm telling you, every time. These guys even had pubs, by the way. They had pubs. They had beer. They actually had beer back then. Now, historically wise, beer is one of the oldest and most ancient liquors that and wine that we can see going through history. So imagine this, yeah. Way back then, 900 years before the pyramids were even built, they were going down to the pub and they were complaining about their jobs with their beer, music going. Honestly, because they had some beautiful music back then. There's some beautiful music. There's some instruments like out of Greece and all this place today that we don't even know how they work. It's either that or there's missing pieces that we don't understand because we have no idea on how it would have worked. It blows my mind that we don't know how it would have worked because today we're so advanced compared to how they were. Just thinking back, I would doubt the Sumerians would even think that the world would be this advanced or just how it is today. They probably couldn't even comprehend it. So imagine where we're going. Fuck. Right? I mean, we can kind of comprehend it, maybe where we're going into the future, but I'm not too sure. Now, these guys, the funny thing about these guys, and I'll do a whole video on this, their religion is quite I wouldn't say sophisticated, but it's very cool and very interesting, and I'll do an entire video on this because it needs an entire video. That's called the Anunnaki. And if you guys haven't heard about the Anunnaki, then stay tuned. I'll bring in the next video so you guys can understand a bit more of who they are, what they've done. Now, the Sumerians also talk about the Anunnaki and this specific Anunnaki dude who actually gave them the knowledge of the sciences and the pottery and all that. But remember, way back then, when these guys had their pubs, these guys had their cities, the majority of the world was still hunter-gatherer species. This predates everybody else from even farming. These guys can write. These guys can do math. Quick maths. What? How are these guys so advanced compared to the majority of the world? I don't get it. I mean, I do, but I don't. They were either extremely advanced or they had some help. In their religion, they say that Anunnaki actually came down and gave them the knowledge of everything that they needed to do. And apparently, they also created Eridu. See, I think I got that one right that time. I think I pronounced it right, Eridu. It's quite cool, man. It's not just that, but it's a cool concept to think about. These guys revolutionized everything that we see today. They had shit back then that we don't even understand today. They were building structures as big as the pyramids before the pyramids. And we don't even know how the fuck they made the pyramids or why they made the pyramids, really. Look, a lot of historians have got answers, or they say that they've got answers, but I don't believe them. Remember, I think that anybody and everybody could be wrong. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about what I'm saying now. I think I've done like enough research to speak about on this topic, but these guys were amazing. They really were. But anyway, look, I'll do a bigger video and a longer video about the Anunnaki and about all their origins. It's crazy on how the Anunnaki and the Sumerians kind of tie in with every single fucking story that you've heard throughout different religions, throughout different mythologies. They had this in their culture by then. We're talking about mythologies like giants and dwarfs and all these mythological creatures that we thought were mythological came from the Sumerians. There's like a few words that we use today, you know, what, winemaker, scribe. That's Sumerian. That originates from Sumeria. And we're still using these today. The Ice Age are said to be, I think the peak was around about 18,000 years ago. But towards the end of it was around about 13,000 years ago. This is where these people really start to emerge. Not just emerge, but they start, this is when they start figuring out how to farm. Remember, everyone else is just still a hunter-gatherer species. It's really fucking cool. It's really fucking cool. Anyway, so I think I'm just going to leave it at that. Hope you guys have a great day. Let me know what you guys think about the Sumerians. Let me know if there's any information that I've said today that you guys have got a different thought process about, or anything else like that. If you guys have any new thoughts, please let me know. That'd be mad. Yeah, so the next video that I want to do is going to be about the Anunnaki, and that's going to be a really long and in-depth video about the Anunnaki. So I hope you guys stay tuned. Okay, see ya.